League's classic encounters as Manchester United host Arsenal at Old Trafford on Sunday.
A landmark occasion in every English Premier League season. It is Manchester United against Arsenal. What a goal for Eric Cantona! Oh, what a goal! Thierry Henry! And he's in the underside of the bar. Amazing! It's Van Nistelrooy! Arsenal are behind! Henry. And now Bergkamp, oh yes! Hargreaves!
And it may well be the goal which puts Arsenal out of the title race once and for all.
Messi! And Young's gone for goal! What a wonderful goal from Ashley Young!
Arsene Wenger is being sent off.
Sanchez! He has rifled that into the roof! McTominay! Magnificent! Pepe to the near post, it got a flick and it crashed in by Socrates!
It is a contest that you simply cannot ignore.
So much drama. So how very appropriate then that we're joined by Wrighty's former teammate at Arsenal, Lee Dixon, and football journalist Raphael Honigstein to talk about this and plenty more. Wrighty, why is this fixture so special, or why has it been so over the years?
I think that it's gone back years. I'd say early 90s. You know, when it really started with some of the stuff that was happening on the pitch as well. But then you've got Alex Ferguson and George Graham. They were okay then too. We weren't really challenging them in and around that time, especially after we'd already won the league a couple of times. Well, you lot won the league. I always throw myself in there.
Of course.
But once it got to the Arsene Wenger with Fergie, that's when it really kicked in. I think that's when we started to challenge them, Dicko, and they started to see that we was a bit of a threat. And then I think the manager even saw our manager as a bit of a threat with what he was doing. But like I said, it goes back way back then, but then it really intensified in Arsene Wenger's years.
It has changed. Let's get a bit of a United perspective as well, because they've also been a team very much in transition, but they come into this off the back of a brilliant result in the Champions League. Well, a couple of brilliant results in the Champions League and against Newcastle, of course, as well.
Yeah, there's a sense that, as you said, they're a little bit further along. I think there is not the fully finished product, but there is at least one game plan which really works. If they play on the break and they switch between pressing quite high and then dropping back, the energy that they have on the pitch and the pace makes it very, very difficult. And there's real powerful midfield players now, and if you put more than one next to each other, then they have more people around them, and Pogba plays in a three. He has more freedom to go forward. Fernandes is almost a extra striker at times because he has two people behind him at times. So there's a lot of individual quality going on, and I think that makes it easier to find a framework that works. It's not, I don't think, a United that is anywhere near the historic United. And it's not United, I think, that can win the league this year. But you can see the progress, and you can see that there is, especially against teams who want to play and want to keep the ball and who want to be attacking, United are very dangerous. And I think it's no coincidence that these performances, the good ones, have come in the Champions League, because that is kind of the perfect system for European football. If you think about it, you come up against teams who don't know how to defend that much because they are the best teams in their countries. They are used to scoring. And then you have a United team full of brilliant players who are quite prepared to play without the ball and wait and hit you on the break. And I'm impressed with them. I have to say, I think there is a sense that things are moving in the right direction. There's still a lot of issues to address, but a lot of things are going right.
I think you look, obviously people are questioning Harry Maguire at the moment and why Tuanzebe isn't playing after playing unbelievably against PSG. Then he hasn't played since then. And then you look at Fred and McTominay. That kind of gives them that kind of assurance. And with Pogba being free and then Hernandez being able to come off as well and create, they still have got the capability of, which I think they'll probably do against Arsenal, in keeping the ball. Even with Donny van der Beek, I thought he was brilliant when he played the other day as well. And Martial played a more kind of a central link in the play, a lot better than I've seen him do for a long time. So for me, there's a lot of scope for Man United to get into a situation where they can control a game and win a game. And then you look at the form of Rashford, and Greenwood is just like, I'm so pleased to see him score his goal the other day, get himself going like he was before everything happened with England. Then you're looking at a Man United team that me, as an Arsenal man going into United, I'm a bit fearful of them. I'm a bit fearful of them because if they do sit off, they can still play, and they've got players that can really hurt us on the break.
Let's just not forget that they just got absolutely spanked at home by Tottenham not that long ago. No. And we're talking, I'm just listening to, and I'm going, I agree in what you're saying, and then it just popped into my head then, and I went, right. And I was at that game, and that was, what went on that pitch that day was almost disgraceful. The way that the game unravelled in front of my eyes, and I was like looking at the players doing commentary going, come on, I need to see something, just show. And they downed tools. They went to a place, and we've all been there, let's face it, we've all been to that place where it's like it's too much, and you just get swamped by what's going on in front of you. Now, if that's in a team, that will be in a team. You have to get that out of the team. That doesn't happen overnight. So, yeah, we're seeing encouraging things, and I'm a big fan of lots of their play. But let's not forget that at times they can be like that. So yeah, but then, Dick, that's always around the corner for them for a spell of time until they get it out of the system.
You do need, like on that particular day, watching Tottenham, especially with Ndombele, and the way they played and stayed around Man United. And the same thing I saw with Man United against Crystal Palace. But then it's up to the team to put them under that kind of pressure, to make them down tools. If you're not going to do that with United, they'll do what they've done to the last couple of teams. You have to be willing to do that. With
a good hiding like that, you need someone on the pitch, or you need a coach, or you need somebody to stop it happening. And so when it just goes, you've got to ask serious questions. That's the thing that's my caveat to them being, oh, United are back. They're nowhere near back. And those results are great, and probably, as you said, I think that's a good point you made about them playing in the Champions League. It suits them to play like that. In the Premier League, it's slightly different, and a different style of football is required. Not all the time, but you need to have a plan B. You need to work it out a little bit more. And so I've still got big reservations about them defensively when the chips are against them.
Well, I think it's safe to say Lee's a little bit more optimistic than Righty by the sounds of that. How do you think this one will play out, Rafa?
Having seen United recently, I think difficult not to.
You're kind of powering away because you don't want to say that to them.
Not to back them. I mean, Arsenal have issues. What we could see, I think, is a replay of the Chelsea-Man United game where Arsenal are aware that United are so good on the break that they will be a little bit more defensive, and United then with the ball struggle to have those spaces. So it could turn into that game where it will be a little bit more congested, a bit more negative, and from a Tata's point of view, perhaps not quite true to his principles, but knowing that otherwise we can be a Leipzig. I mean, Leipzig are a very decent side, and they were taken apart in the last 20 minutes and lose 5-0. That can happen to Arsenal, especially right now.
Oh, yeah.
That's why.
It could.
Do you think it will?
No, listen. I wouldn't at the moment where Arsenal are right now. I would never really back them to do either. I think they can go and win a game quite easily. We've seen that, but they could quite easily get a really difficult day at Old Trafford with the United the way they are. But I would go the opposite way and say, do you know what? We're no good at the back. Let's try and get their back four and just 6-6.
As a neutral, that'd be good, wouldn't it?
It would be good, but I think there are signs. I take your point with the Spurs game, but I think there are signs that Maguire has come back more composed since his little break. Shaw, I think, was all over the place in that game. Pogba felt like he wasn't interested. If those players sort of hit their normal levels, I think they were still pretty decent. So I think the real reflection of United is not the 6-1. It's probably not the 5-0 against Leipzig either, but I think the average
is 13 goals in at home so far.
I think their average, though, their sort of base level of performance is higher than Arsenal.
No, I think the worry for me, though, Kels, is that with Wan-Bissaka not having to maybe in this game be an attacking right fullback. He's more probably having to look after Saka and Aubameyang. So for me, I worry for Arsenal in the game, especially with Manchester United's confidence at the moment. I worry for Arsenal in this game.
Winning the title for these two clubs at the moment, is it?
No, it's not, and it hasn't really been like that since Ferguson left. None of them have really been competitive. Arsenal had that 1 year where Leicester went past them, but United, even in the season where they finished second, they had no realistic chance of winning it. So we haven't seen both of them being competitive in the league for nearly a decade now, which is a long time. And of course, the managers have changed quite a few times, so you don't have the personal animosity or rivalry that you had. And now it's really a game where, from Arsenal point of view, is okay, we're playing one of the best teams in the league. We're playing a team that will try to get that fourth spot again from us. We need to beat them. And for United, it's really the same. I mean, they look at Arsenal as one of the teams that they need to leave behind them to make sure they qualify for the Champions League, and then they can think about maybe getting closer to the Liverpools and Manchester City. So it just has a different dynamic, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely right, to be honest. I think that when you look at Man United as well at the moment, I think they're a little bit further ahead in respect to their squad. When you consider that Man United, whatever happens, they've still got the kind of money and the clout to be able to spend 170 million on Matic, Fred, and Pogba, and then still, not too long after that, you can still bring in Donny van der Beek and Fernandes. They've still got that clout to be able to fatten out their squad, where Arsenal can't do that. We can't afford to do that. We can't all of a sudden bench maybe some people and bring some in, because we're just not good enough, and we're not in that place at the moment. And so this is why, with Manchester United playing like they're playing at the moment, with Arsenal playing without that creativity that they need, I think Thomas Partey's going to be good. I think he's going to be great, bring another dimension to midfield, but we still need that midfielder to create, because I don't think there's enough movement with the front three. So I still feel at this particular moment, Man United, especially after the couple of results they've had, are in a better position than we are.
What do you make of Arsenal under Arteta? Because there has been an improvement, albeit maybe not in the last few results.
Yeah, I mean, it's a slow burner. There's no doubt about that. I think he's aware of how much work there's to be done when he came in. It's his first job. We have to take that into consideration. I think he's made the players more accountable in playing situations and also training situations. I think the training that goes on, the players understand what's needed of them. I've got, Steve Bowles really still a good friend of mine, and he's been in a few of the sessions when early on in the season when lockdown was going on, and he was very impressed with what he was doing on the training pitch. Said his training is brilliant, the players really enjoy it, they're getting things from it. So all of that stuff, the accountability in training, that goes on a Saturday. You have to have it like that. It can't be the other way around. You can't be messing about in training and then perform on a Saturday. It doesn't work. And whoever tells you that does, they're lying. That's not how it works. You get that right first, and then this comes later. And so that's a work in progress. There's no doubt about that. He's hit a bit of a plateau now with everything that's gone on. Oh yeah, we're looking better defensively. We're looking da-da-da. Now all of a sudden we're looking at the team and going, well, they're letting goals in, they're not getting clean sheets, there's no creativity. Aubameyang's gone off the boil because he signed his contract. There's all those things going on, and so the team is now all of a sudden, everyone's looking at them again, pressure's back on again, going, come on then, look where you are in the league. So it's a difficult job, there's no doubt about that, and time, the ticking clock, is always going to be his enemy and his friend, because you've got to give him time. But in this league, the lads will tell you, you don't get as much time as you need to put the project or get the project to a latter stage. So it's a difficult one.
Right, they struggled to break down Leicester. We know a lot what's happened with Ozil. We don't need to go into that in too much depth. But do you think that's maybe? I feel like that could be another show for us, Lee. We won't do that right now. Do you think that's what Arsenal are missing? A creative player, maybe a creative fulcrum in midfield to break these kind of teams down?
I mean, every team wants a creative player that can help you in those situations against deep sides. There's now, Ozil used to be very special at doing this thing. Now every team wants to have a player who can play between the lines, who can pick up the ball, find spaces, and then draws out opposition and then finds the next ball through. I mean, that is that's become sort of a staple of every team that comes up against deeper sides. I think it's a little bit too easy to say, oh, if we had Ozil, things would be better.
Maybe not Ozil, but a player that can unlock a defence.
Yes, but I think that there are different ways to create things. You know, Arsenal, when Arteta took over, were quite reactive. You know, they started from quite deep and then played on the counter, and they played it beautifully. They didn't have to have the playmaker because they went quite direct, and the pace up front and the quality was there, and they go through the wing backs, and there's different ways of doing things. But when you come up against those sides who don't give you the spaces and you can't play on the break because they don't want the ball either, then you need to have a second layer to your game. And you either can do it through the individuals that you have, or you need to find ways, and I think, you know, Liverpool are a great example. They don't have that player either, unless you talk about Firmino. But they don't have a creative midfielder as a number 10. Yeah, now, but you know they've already been pretty good the last 3 years without that kind of guy. But you find different ways of doing it, and you can do it through coaching. You can do it through finding patterns. You know, somebody goes deep, there's spaces emerging. So there's ways to do it. But I'm totally with Lee. There is a moment, just that early kind of momentum with Arteta and Arsenal seem to have been lost a little bit. And now people, rather than thinking about the possibilities of the squad, are once again in that mindset where they're looking at the holes and thinking, oh, we need this player, and we don't have a centre-back yet, and we don't have that number 10, and that's kind of a function of the team as a whole not really working as well.
But I do feel they do need that player. I think that's why they went for Aouar. And he's that player in there that gives Arsenal another option, because what I saw with Arsenal...
He's not there.
I know. But
he's not coming either.
Yeah, but the thing is that what I'm saying is that they do definitely need that player. Because if we're talking about creativity in Arsenal at the moment with the lack of movement from the front three, we're talking about Saka, an 18-year-old. He's the only one that brings something different. Because, like I saw, against Fulham, poor team, Arsenal were able to play out and do what they wanted to do, score a perfect goal with Aubameyang coming off the left and scoring. But when you play against, like I saw them play against City, and teams work that out, that's what they want to do. They want to work it so as Aubameyang can come in off the left and score his goal. They just close them down. They stop that from happening, and then they put Kyle Walker in this place where he wants to cut inside. So what that does, that completely nullifies someone like Aubameyang, and then there's no plan B to that, and that is the problem that they've got at the moment. So it doesn't make no difference whether it was Ozil. For the 18 games, I think he had 2 assists and 1 goal anyway. It wasn't like he was pulling up trees. You're hoping that someone will do it. Now they're saying it's Saka, because you look at Ceballos, he's not somebody that goes up and really supports the front guys. Same with Xhaka, same with El Neni. So there's a lot of problems with progressing the ball into that area of the field with, like I said, the lack of movement of the front three for Arsenal to score a goal that's not like perfect, like we saw in the cup final or the semi-final or against Fulham.